Officer Jenny, will you train my Pikachu the way you trained Growlithe? I want to be the world's best Pokemon trainer. And I also want my Pikachu to be the best Pokemon it can possibly be. And, before we get started, why don't we listen to the podcast? Hey, I'm Veronica Taylor.
And I'm Rena Taylor.
And this is
The Trainer's Guide. Today's episode? The
case of the K-9 Caper.
Live.
Woohoo! Wow! It is episode 49.
Episode 49.
Of 52.
Yeah.
So we are doing this live somewhat randomly because it just happens to be the next one in order.
Right.
It is about Officer Jenny, and police are big in New York City. She wears blue. We have our people in
Boys
blue.
in blue. That's right.
And girls.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
K-9s. One of the really special things about us performing here at Caveat on the Lower East Side is that this is where Rena grew up. And we moved to...
In this space, right here.
Under the bar.
I live here. Yeah. Welcome to my home. I wish this was my home. It's so nice.
We lived in this neighborhood for a very long time, and we moved to LA only when Rena was a junior in high school.
Yeah, that's right.
So... it's very exciting to be back with so many friends, people that we know, actually know, and then know through conventions and online. Mm-hmm. So it's really nice to put a face to all of your names. Some people we've known for years and years. And anyway, Samson is here, whose dad worked at 4Kids. So I've known him since he was really tiny too. Mm-hmm. All of us from the 4Kids days. So anyway.
And weren't you saying that some of the auditions for the show we're
in this neighborhood
to here too,
yeah,
right?
So I guess in a small way, Pokemon started here, and we're bringing it back around just like 25 plus years later.
Yeah, everything's cyclical, so.
Somewhat. Mm-hmm. So as we said, we're episode 49.
Yeah.
In this episode, our trio, Misty, Ash, and Brock, are on their way still toward the Cinnabar gym.
Yes. So they're headed to the gym, and they're kind of, the Cinnabar gym is really far away. So this has been I think this is the third episode that they're going to Cinnabar City.
And we're reminded that Ash is going to get his 7th badge, which we still don't know what the other 6
How did he do
necessarily
that?
were.
I mean,
don't
we've
know.
watched all the episodes, and I don't remember that. I just don't. But anyway, so that's happening.
When you open your jacket and you have all the badges on inside, there's always 6. So I don't know what the 7. Anyway, it remains to be seen.
That's maybe he doesn't get the badge
next season.
Oh,
we'll have to wait.
But so they're walking through the forest, and we hear somebody saying, "Stop, thief! Thief, thief, thief!" And Ash, always the person to jump into action. This guy runs up, and he's a thief, and he's carrying a little bag and all that kind of stuff.
He's got an actual robber bag over
his shoulder. Like a robber.
Mm-hmm.
And Ash tries to get Pikachu to attack so they could, save the day. But the guy has a gun.
Actually has a gun.
Yes.
You never see that in Pokemon.
What?
I know.
I like that. This is a children's show.
And Officer Jenny is yelling, "Stop, thief!"
Yeah. And so the guy has a gun, and so Pikachu refuses to attack because it's too scared.
It seems a bit scared, yeah.
Which makes total sense to me. But then incoming is this giant thing coming over the sky, and it's a big Growlithe. Which
we find out is a puppy Pokemon which bites and growls. Yeah. That's what it does. It's really cute, but also deadly.
Somewhat. And it attacks the thief and then knocks the gun out of the hand. And then Pikachu at that point jumps in and shocks the guy. And it's really exciting. They really make a great team with this random Growlithe that's super fun. Everyone's like, yeah. And then we find out that it's the guy, the thief, is a police officer undercover, and they're training their Growlithe. So then Ash, Misty, and Brock get in trouble because they were like, couldn't you tell that this guy is a police officer? And so then they're like, oh, no, we didn't know.
I find it interesting that Officer Jenny always has her short skirt, and we have 2 male police officers, too, in trousers.
Yeah.
Which I think plays an important part later in the show.
Remember that
Keep it
visual.
in mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyway, we find out that they are training the K-9 unit of Growlithe.
A pack of police-trained Pokemon.
Yeah.
Actually.
A lot of alliteration.
So Officer Jenny decides to take the kids back to the station so that she can kind of take care of them a little. You must be exhausted. I hope you can eat.
And they're already like...
Which is one of the greatest things I think about anime are all the eating scenes. And to be an actor in the scene because you're always like this and like trying to talk while you're doing it. And so much fun.
Yeah, and even in this too, Ash is like, I'm not... Oh, okay, Brock. You know, there's like swallowing, and
I will say that those are the best. We had the best fun in the booth doing those, whether it was taking a drink and getting to swallow or something, or eating, or like choking on it, or trying to put those little tiny things in was always a high point.
Yeah, it's definitely fun. And so while they're eating, Ash is kind of thinking back about this thing of how the Growlithe are so strong, and they're commanded. They only follow Officer Jenny's commands, so she'll tell them to sit, whatever, and they only listen to her. And they're really, really trained to do just that. And so it's kind of an interesting thing. And Ash is talking about how he wishes Pikachu could be
like
as
Growlithe.
Brave and as strong as Growlithe. And we all know Pikachu's pretty strong.
Right.
So Ash is like, I wish Pikachu could be, better.
So he decides to ask Jenny if she could train Pikachu.
In the Growlithe.
Which, of course, Misty
camp.
And Brock don't really think that this is a good idea.
No. And that's kind of where the intro pops in of Ash going, I want to be the best. And he kind of turns it on Brock, too, because Brock's saying, don't you think Pikachu's enough? I don't know if Pikachu's ready for this kind of training. And Ash is like, don't you want to be the best Pokemon breeder?
Yeah, because I want to be the best, too.
And Brock's like, well, I guess so.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, so I want to be the best, too. Whatever. So it's kind of an interesting, a little sassy defiance there, but
that's Ash.
Yeah, we've come to expect that. I think at this point.
So the next scene, they're in their like hostel kind of bunk beddy room.
Yeah. So Jenny says yes, and she's like, "Okay, great, we'll start tomorrow."
And they stay over
sleeping
at what I think is the police station.
There are a lot of like bunk bed rooms in the buildings, municipal buildings in this.
They have no money, so they have to stay at a hostel.
Yeah. But I think like the police station has beds
for crooks.
Yeah, and not like a jail cell,
I don't know.
they're just staying in the thing, and the Pokemon Center had beds too. Like there's all these spots for people to sleep.
Basically hostels.
Yeah, they're all just glorified hostels with other purposes too.
Exactly.
It was cool. I think we should do that.
She comes in at 4 a.m. with the whistle to say, let's get up and go train. One of my favorite parts is this episode is so weird because nothing really happens, but there's all these really funny little bits in it.
Which is kind of, at the end of each episode, we watch it and we're thinking, what are we going to talk about for the podcast?
Because nothing happened.
And every time we're like, nothing really happened. But a lot, once you start talking about it, you're like, oh yeah, and this did happen too. But the plots are very...
simple.
Yeah. Very short.
Yes. With this, she comes in, and Ash right away is like, what? And he looks at his clock, of course, 4 a.m., good night. And then he just rolls over.
Yeah.
So fun.
He and Pikachu do not want to get up.
No.
But she forces them to do it. And they get up, and they get out onto the training campground, and the first thing is an obstacle course. And so Pikachu's like, okay. I mean, Ash is going, okay, Pikachu, let's do this. Like, you got this. Win for me, essentially. And we find out that it's actually a trainer and Pokemon course. So you have to do it with your Pokemon. Because if you don't, your Pokemon won't respect you if you don't go through what you are asking them to go through.
And a master, Pokemon master, will never be
Jenny
respected
says. Right.
if he or she can't do what the Pokemon can do or what you ask of your Pokemon.
Right.
Which I think is a really, it's such a great message in this because so many of us strive to be our best. And let's say you get to be the boss of whatever, and you really
a company.
Yeah. Let's say you're in business, and you really can't expect your employees to do more than you can do.
Right.
You have to be able to all rise together.
Yeah.
And I think this is a great example of that. That you can't ask of your Pokemon more than you would ask of yourself.
Yeah. That's true.
We learned this from Officer Jenny.
Thanks, Jenny.
Yes.
So anyway, Ash doesn't really want to do it, neither does Pikachu. But they decide, you know, we're gonna go through this. And it doesn't seem like Pikachu this whole time has really been interested in being a part of the K-9 unit. But Ash is really gung ho, so it's just kind of going along with it. So they start, and they're running, and then
Ash and Pikachu.
Yeah,
Jenny and Growlithe.
which is a big like dog / lion looking Pokemon.
Fluffy, running.
And a lot bigger than I always think about it being. It's like
Probably.
almost Ash's height. When
yeah,
it's
it can
sitting
be.
next to Ash, it's like this.
Yes.
Anyway, crazy. The show is so crazy.
You have to go to a Pokemon Center to
yeah,
see
I
life
know.
size.
That's right. So anyway, so they're running, and then they hit the first obstacle, which is like grass, but encased in a wire.
Oh my gosh, barbed wire crisscross over the top. So
Cage.
I thought at first they were going to have to jump in
Yeah.
each square.
Yeah.
But it turns out you have to crawl underneath. And
Yeah.
luckily the grass is a little high so you can grab onto it so you can really be crawling through.
So Jenny and Growlithe are crawling.
Growlithe gets through.
Oh, well, yeah, obviously it's done this before. It's really good.
Pikachu, yeah, I know.
It's
Pikachu gets
course.
stuck.
Pikachu's tail gets stuck, and, you know, it doesn't want to do this anyway. And so we all know Pikachu's electric.
And
the
has a
wire
short temper.
is metal.
Yes.
And it does its electric shock, and everything gets electrocuted.
And then
So,
that's one
yeah.
time we hear Ash. "Ah!" This is a huge episode
yeah.
for Ash. Like in the hostel bedroom,
great.
bunk beddy thing. He doesn't want to get up, and then Pikachu like shocks then too, and they're like, "Wah!" and he's falling out of the bed. Here they're crawling under. "Wah!" He gets shocked again. And then they finally get out.
We get to a giant wall, which is the next one. And if you've ever watched any kind of murder mystery police show, you always know that they've got to climb over the wall. So Officer Jenny, meanwhile, she's doing this in her high heels.
Right. Well, low heels,
her
sensible.
Her pumps.
Yes.
So she's like, okay, Growlithe, climb up the wall. And it does. And then she's like, woo. And she just gets on and she climbs over it. It's like really
In her
amazing
skirt,
stuff. In her
too.
skirt. She's wearing her whole thing. I think she's got her bag on. I think she has her hat too. I mean,
Right.
she's like,
Amazing.
she's so.
A Wonder Woman of sorts.
Yeah. She's got such poise.
Ash, though, with sneakers, jeans, and a
Yeah.
T-shirt, can't
Yeah.
make it up over the wall. But he's never tried that
But
before.
it's also the greatest thing because he's climbing up. He's like climbing, and then he kind of slides down. He's like, "Ugh," like this, and
Yeah.
then kind of just lands like a little bug. You know, it's so good. Anyway, and then he tries again, and then lands on Pikachu.
Right. On his
And
head.
we get another
I think
electric shock.
The great thing about recording Pokemon, for me,
Yeah.
is that we recorded these shows one after the other. So every week to week and a half, we recorded a new episode. And you only went in and saw your lines. So I didn't really know what the whole episode was about if I wasn't in that scene. So the crazy thing is, I don't really remember this episode specifically, even though I did have a lot of lines in it. But I do remember Ash always having these like, wah, woo, and falling down, doing all this stuff. And maybe most of what I remember is this episode.
Yeah, it could be.
I just don't know.
There's a bulk of the episode is this.
him just like
falling.
Yeah, falling. Anyway, just to give you some insight into that.
But also, you wouldn't see the whole scene too.
No,
so only
just-
if you were having a conversation with somebody.
That's right.
You would know what was going on. So
Only if our lines,
Right.
if it was 1-to-1. Right. So yeah, we would just skip ahead. So at least I did get to have some idea of fun in this episode, which is yelling and falling. That's all I like about
fun
Ash.
for you.
Right. So you may be wondering, where's Team Rocket?
Oh, yeah.
in this
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
episode? Well, they finally show up.
So, yeah, and kind of in the beginning, this doesn't really matter, but I've already started talking. So, kind of in the beginning, when we meet the Growlithe, we see Team Rocket are in the back, and they've got their binoculars, and they kind of see stuff. And James goes, I have the greatest idea. I have the best idea for this, the best plan to get whatever. And only Jessie goes, this is awesome. You're amazing. Let's do it. And only Meowth goes, I've heard this before, right? So he's kind of like on the fence this whole time. But now, flash forward, Ash and Pikachu are kind of defeated.
And he's just sitting there very defeated and with like dirt marks all over his face.
Everybody's tired. And then all of a sudden, this giant Growlithe van. So they've like decked out a van to look like a Growlithe. Kind of appropriate in terms of size. It's pretty much the same size as a regular Growlithe if you think about it.
I think so, so far as what you've told us.
Exactly, exactly. So it comes crashing through the wall of the training grounds.
Yes.
And Jessie and James are on the top of this van, and they do their motto, of course, which we will not do for you today, but you can imagine it.
Tune in.
Yeah, exactly. We don't do it there either, but that's not your character. Oh yeah. So they come in, and I do love Team Rocket. I mean, I think that they are the best part of the show, and this is really the best plan so far that they've ever had. I will say.
I think it is. It's multi-tiered.
There's a lot of steps, and all of them are actually executed very well.
True.
Until the end, but
don't give that away.
Yeah,
yet.
but how could you have expected what's to come? You know.
Well, first of all, Meowth is driving.
Yeah.
And Meowth is thinking
Growlithe.
And hates dogs.
Which makes sense.
Couldn't we have a more cat-friendly plan? Which I think is appropriate.
Yeah. But they say, no, don't be a baby or whatever. And so everybody's like, this is so weird. Why would they come in to a police station? Like they're basically asking to be arrested. But then they put on these...
First of all, the masks.
Yeah, they put on these gas masks. And everyone's... The best thing too is like this. It's so dramatic because Officer Jenny's like, "Okay, you guys are gonna get arrested," and they put on the masks, and she goes, "What do you think is gonna happen?" Like, I don't know. Anyway, so they put on the masks, and they whip out
these canisters.
Yeah, and the first one has a vial plume on the front.
Right, they call it esophagus.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I mean, the writers are really amazing. I don't know what it was called in Japanese, but what it's called in English is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
The first one is...
They spray everybody with this gas.
In the vial plume gas tank.
Yeah.
And everyone starts coughing. So they are
and it's kind of
debilitated.
Mysterious. Nothing really happens, but all the Growlithe are kind of like... They're like...
Yeah,
like that.
As dogs do.
They're just kind of don't really know. And then they pull out a Psyduck canister,
which
and they say, here the metamorphosis,
right?
Something.
Yes,
and so it doesn't really make sense.
They spray it all, and everyone's voice changes
like really high, like this. It's like when you have helium.
That's right.
It's like helium.
So the crazy thing is, not to give too much away, but for the rest of the episode, everyone's voice is higher than normal.
Yeah, I know.
Which is so funny.
But they must have pitched that.
Oh, they definitely did.
That. Yeah.
Let's see. Ash, if he's talking up here, I guess he could have been talking up here like this. Wait a minute, Pikachu.
Yeah, I guess
it's so funny.
And even Pikachu's like, Pika. You know, I can't do Pikachu.
We won't do Pikachu for you. We'll leave that to the professionals.
Yeah, totally.
But the best part.
So this is, okay, so we all remember at the beginning that the Growlithe are very good at, they only go based off of command.
And that there were 2 police officers with pants on.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And at this point...
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because where are they?
I don't know. They don't play a part in this.
They never come
They're
back.
Extras.
Maybe they got scared and they left.
I don't know. But Jessie and James change into Officer Jenny outfits.
They go into phase 2.
Both in skirts.
Yeah. They come out. They're both in their skirts and their pumps.
And they have a voice changer megaphone.
Yeah.
That they can dial the different voices. So first they get Officer Jenny, and they're yelling at the Growlithe to
And the Growlithe
behave.
listen to them because it's Officer Jenny's voice. And meanwhile, Officer Jenny's like, Growlithe, don't listen to them. she's got her little southern thing, and
yes,
Growlithe, whatever. It's so good. And the Growlithe listen to Jesse and James because they hear the voice.
That's right.
And so they are, getting whatever. They're getting ready to go into the van and leave. And then Ash goes, you can't do this.
Don't do it. Come back here.
Yeah. You can't get away with this. And they're like, okay, well, we'll battle you, which is their first mistake. They should have just left.
Right.
They should have
Take
just
off
left
right away.
Just get in the van and go. Like, I just don't understand. But they can't leave a fight. So
nope. So they also keep switching the voice changer.
First, Ash realizes he doesn't have any of his Pokemon.
Oh, yeah, because they left all their bags and everything at 4 a.m. when they left everything. Right. We have a flashback to the bag and all the Pokemon on the bed. And
yeah, it's so sad. Which also, does Ash sleep on top of his Pokeballs? Like, they were all out on the bed.
He had to get changed out of his pajamas.
I guess. And his pajamas are the same outfit that he wears. Because in the bed, he was wearing a vest and a T-shirt and his jeans. Could you imagine if he, changed into a pajama version of his, day clothes?
It's not unlike us because we're on the road so much. We basically are wearing the same clothes every day, although we did wash them for you today. All clean.
Thank you. So. Yeah. Woohoo! Laundry is exciting.
So anyway, not a lot happens right now except there's a battling and a voice changing.
They're battling. But then Pikachu comes out and Jessie says this is the perfect time to capture Pikachu too. So she changes into an Ash outfit.
Yeah.
She goes out, she gets into an Ash costume and comes back and uses the Ash microphone to say, Pikachu, come here. And Pikachu is smart and does not listen and touches Ash.
It goes back over to Ash's really leg and holds on.
Yeah.
It's so adorable.
I know, and even Ash gets the little anime cry
gigantic
eyes.
Crying eyes.
It's so cute. And so we learn that it's something about I lost my place. But Pikachu recognizes what's in Ash's heart.
Well, I think this is part of the whole reason for this episode.
Yeah.
Because the voice changers, they're going back. Jessie has James's voice and then Meowth's voice, and they're all switching around, and everyone's out of control. But the main thing is that the Growlithe starts remembering about its time with Officer Jenny from a tiny baby puppy till now. And then Pikachu remembers Ash and the times they've had. And the point is that I think the line they use is you recognize what's in each other's heart.
Right.
But more to the point, it isn't about just battling and trying to be the best. It's what you've done to get you there.
Yeah.
The experiences you've had along the way. What's shaped you into what you are now.
Yeah, and I think the thing, too, is that Ash is so, focused on being the best.
Right.
And to him, being the best means that you are good and perfect at doing everything. Pikachu, if Pikachu wants to be the strongest Pokemon, it should train with the Growlithe because they're really strong.
And do what the Growlithe
And do what
does.
they do. But it's but what we learn is that to be strong and to be the best, you're not good at everything. You're just good at what you do, what you love to do. And so you have to kind of know your strengths and your weaknesses, and that makes you a better person in the long run.
Part of it is, they are a team, whether it's Ash, Misty, and Brock, or each of them with their Pokemon, or the Pokemon and each other. Mm-hmm. It's you do have to learn to identify your strengths and then to work with others to become totally the best. You're not alone in this. Yeah. And I think that's one of the great messages of this, is that it does take a village. It is about all of us coming together. It's our community, like this Pokemon community. Mm-hmm. How much we all learn from one another. We don't have to do it all. Each of us do it ourselves.
Right.
We can lean on each other when we need help. We can work together to create something really amazing. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, that's the lesson I think we learn from this.
Yeah. And too, the Growlithe training is so militant,
right?
That in the end, that is kind of the downfall. That's their downfall, is that they're so focused on their trainer's voice that they almost get Poké napped.
Right.
And brought, just because they're listening to the voice, and I guess maybe because Jesse and James kind of look like Officer Jenny, but to
a dog.
to a dog. They're colorblind anyway. Yeah. So, but it just, they're so focused on the training that in the end, it's the memory of being with Jenny, and Growlithe has bitten her and is looking at her while its mouth is on her arm. And it kind of takes it back to these flashbacks of the time they've spent. And so it's the memories that they've created and the time they've spent that actually brings it out of this trance. Oh, but the reason why it's in the trance too is that the first gas knocked out their sense of smell.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yes, yeah. So it knocks out their sense of smell because they're dogs, and then the second one, so they're kind of dazed and confused, and then that's why the second one with the voice, it kind of, I think they're so confused that they just the first sound that they recognize they focus on.
And then interestingly, Jigglypuff has a cameo in this. Jigglypuff comes out at the end, and there's a spotlight, and it sings a tiny phrase, and then walks
leaves.
Away. And that kind of is the catalyst for Jenny being freed from the ropes. And then, so I don't know why, but we're all thankful that Jigglypuff did show up.
Yeah, and it's kind of following Ash along.
A little bit.
It's kind of on the way, what's going to happen with Jigglypuff. But yeah, it just sings a little bit and goes. It doesn't
Could we say that maybe that means that even though you're going down one path, tiny surprises can come in and lead you in a different direction? Could you say that?
Yeah, it's not just one direction.
It's not just. No, it's not. No. Or the Jonas Brothers.
I wish that it was. We miss them.
I did have one tiny thing. So, as you know, maybe, I always am listening to NPR, and I did get an interesting email about, which I wanted to share with you a little bit, which I think I can usually make something fit into what we're talking about.
You've got a good gift for
Thank you.
Applying.
Thank you.
Things.
Well, now you will too. The main point of this was that all of us have the power to make a difference, even when you think things are out of your control. And part of that is we all have a lot of stress, and how you manage your stress is something that can make a difference also to you. So here I'm going to just zoom through a couple things which I think are food for thought. If you're not having food here at Caveat,
try their amazing award-winning popcorn.
And thought-provoking
many flavors.
Words. Eat these words. One great idea, which maybe Ash could do, is to write down what your personal strengths are. Maybe that's flexibility, creativity, patience, any of those kinds of things. And then you also can put down attainable goals, maybe how you're using these superpowers to help you to solve what you're going through. These are steps that you can do in your journal, things that you can do every day. Ash is out on the road, and they're always encountering different things, so he doesn't really seem to have time to reflect. But we all can. You ride the subway, you're walking, you can do a voice memo, things like that you can help kind of get through the tall grass that you're crawling through.
Whoa.
I know. And then as you create goals, you can build your skills into how to attain them. And you can break it down into little things that you can do every day. That's basically what these guys are doing on the show, but they don't set it out for you. We regular adult humans have to kind of set out our goals. And also a great thing to keep in mind is stress is when your body senses danger and your nervous system is activated. One great thing is that brings extra oxygen to your brain, makes you think faster, makes you able to kind of do something. So if you can turn that into a positive, whether you're really nervous to, talk in front of people or nervous about an interview, something like that, you can use that stress if you train yourself to work for you rather than against you. We all have a lot of stress, and these are just things to think about, how you can use it to be your best.
Maybe Ash doesn't have any stress or as much because he constantly gets shocked by Pikachu.
It's a reset.
Yeah, it's like a nice, you just go, "Ugh," and then you go, oh, okay, I'm good.
He's always kind of cool because he's wearing his jacket and t-shirt.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have the cold to deal with.
Yeah, are there different climates?
I don't know.
We haven't encountered that. Yeah.
No.
Well, there is in that snow rent episode.
We haven't gotten there yet.
That is one that I remember, but I don't know when that comes in. But anyway.
So we did learn in this episode about accepting your strengths, working with them, and not always thinking that you have to be or attain what everyone else has.
And kind of just, knowing that to be the best, it doesn't mean that you have to excel in every single thing that you try. That's just not how life works.
Right.
And then also, if you want somebody else to be their best, you can't force them to do what you want them to do.
Exactly.
Which I think is something that we're always learning in Pokemon. Especially with Ash's Pokemon, you can never tell them what to do. Right. They're going to do their own thing.
So appreciate others' strengths and see how you can work together.
Mm-hmm. And also, at the end of this, I think the thing I've really learned is that we need more of those megaphones that have voice-changing things. I think you can find that maybe with AI now, but even Brock gets that. Yeah, I know. But even Brock at the end, we have a little comic relief.
Oh, yes.
Right at the end, after this huge cinematic thing, and all the Growlithe are like licking Officer Jenny, and they're all so excited. And then Brock finds one of the megaphones, and he starts in Jenny's voice being like, I love Brock. He's so attractive and so cute and so cool. And, oh, he's so talented. Anyway, and then she just laughs.
It's so good.
And then that's basically it. That's how it ends.
We see Jigglypuff picking up the voice changer at the end.
Maybe if it changed its voice, if it's saying like Ash, like if it had the thing, maybe people wouldn't fall asleep.
Who knows what it will use it for?
Yeah, we'll see.
Fingers crossed.
It has such tiny arms. I don't know how it can hold it. It's so big. It would fall over. But anyway.
Well, I think this is a good time for the Poké Wrap-Up,
where we hear from you, the Pokemon community.
We asked everyone to send in their Pokemon memories, stories, and inspirations. And today we have a live audience. So we are asking you all if you have any questions or if you have some memories that you would like to share with us. We do have
now is the time.
A microphone that will come around. If you want to raise your hand a tiny bit, we can bring the microphone over to you for you to have your spotlight moment.
Yeah. Or if you have just any comments about the show or what you love.
Yeah. Anything?
Preferably. Do we have one? Oh,
yes.
Oh, and please tell us your first name.
First name and where you're from, please.
Hi, my name's Iris. I'm from New York. Lifelong Pokemon fan.
Yes.
I have a lot of great memories with Pokemon, but I think a great one to share, having you here, would be, and I was recently in Minneapolis, in the movie when Team Rocket is like bringing them over to, Mewtwo Island. Or it had a name, I don't know.
That's a great name for it. I don't know if that's really what it is, but I feel like really
it was,
love that.
It had an ominous name or something. Team Rocket's like Vikings or something, and Brock is like, or Misty, someone is like, I didn't know there still were Vikings, and then Ash was like, yeah, I think they only lived in Minnesota or something like that.
Vikings were only in Minnesota.
Yeah. Did you ad-lib that, or was it
in
the
script? No, that was in the script.
That's amazing.
We have Michael Hegney who wrote a lot of so the scripts are, they come over in Japanese, and you have someone who translates and then someone who adapts them for the American or English audience. And so Michael did a lot of those, and he was very funny, very punny, and some of those great gems are definitely his, and that was one.
It's appreciated. I'm a big fan of puns to this day, and I think Pokemon had a lot to do with that. All the names, all the episode names, especially. I didn't even know was happening as a kid.
Yeah, those. It kind of just sits in your brain, and then later you realize how funny it is.
Yeah. So I'm a big fan. I have so many great memories. The first day I got a shiny Pokemon. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I wasn't
Amazing.
hunting or anything. Yeah. Anyone else
Thank
want to
you.
go? I don't want to monopolize.
Thank you.
Yeah, now you have the mic. Won't stop talking.
Hi, I'm Matthew from upstate New York. Going off that, I did have a question because I know Pokemon had a few episodes that were never released here. They were here. Did you guys ever get those scripts to ever, like, read them, or did you? And then you recorded it, and then they just never aired them? Because I know there was like a few with you mentioned the guns in this one, and I remember there was an episode with the Safari Zone, which never explains why Ash has like thousands of Tauros at Pokemon Professor Oak's lab, and I was just like, where did they come from? But they never showed that. I just was curious about that. If they
I
did.
also do not know.
Okay. I just figured to ask.
Yeah, we only recorded what was going to be shown, and because of standards and practices for broadcasting, especially for kids TV, there were certain things that whether it was the broadcasters, the TV channels, or whether it was 4Kids or whether it was Nintendo, they decided that those things couldn't be shown in the U.S. and then perhaps later in all the other countries the show went to. So we also were under a very quick recording schedule. So we didn't record anything that wasn't going to air.
Oh, okay.
So I have not, to my knowledge, seen those episodes to this day.
I have them. I've seen them, but it's like I can't understand what they're saying because they don't have subtitles. But I get the gist because you have to look on Wikipedia to read what's going on.
Right.
But, no, I just always wondered about that because I was like, did they ever, like, because I wanted to find them online if they had them.
Yeah.
And something that really I got into it young on a school bus ride. I played the old blue version, kept restarting Pick and Squirtle. But one of the best things was with my dad. I got yellow version for Christmas with the Game Boy, and I didn't have anyone to trade with. He didn't ever let me bring it to school, so he actually bought a Game Boy as well, got the games, and we used to trade, and that's how I completed the Pokedex in my yellow version. I still haven't restarted since, and
that's amazing.
I still have his Game Boys since he passed, but I have them put away, and I just hold them off to the side because it's like I every so many years I check the batteries to make sure they're still good.
Right.
And I have his save file still saved because I made a mistake. I traded him like a level 100 Charizard and Mewtwo and all this stuff. And I'm battling him, and we're sitting. I'm playing on the GameCube. He's on the GameCube. I'm on my Game Boy, and I'm kind of like looking, okay, what's he going to do for this move? And then I somehow beat him, but I'm like, dang, I should have never traded him all that because he doesn't know what he's doing with He didn't know what he was doing with it, and he was just clicking buttons. But we had so much fun doing that, and every Saturday morning I monopolized the TV with my sister. I would always do that with that. So it was just something that we both that's why Pokemon. I'm 33, and I still carry it around, a Game Boy around and everything with me. And that's what my de-stressing is.
That's really amazing.
Yeah,
and it's so nice that you can have that memory, that experience with your dad too, because Pokemon is really about all of us being together with the games and being able to trade. Gosh, how cool is it that he went ahead and bought the game?
Yeah, it was
so great.
And then years later I saw that I don't know where he got it. It just surprised me. He had the Game Boy Advance one with the gold one with the thingy from the Pokemon Center. I'm like, where'd you get that?
Yeah, and he was just holding on to it?
Yeah.
He just had it. Wow. He just pulled it out. And I'm like, where'd you get this? He's like, I was going to get it because you had a Game Boy Advance. We're going to play. I'm like, okay. And so I was just really surprised when I saw it. And
That's so cool.
It just was those little things that I remember. And like when the Pokemon, the first movie came out, we went to one of those Burger King trading things. And he used to go every day for lunch just to get the Pokeball. I had so many of them. Yeah. They're lost. Most of them. I have one or two left.
Right. That's amazing.
So much I love about this.
Oh, thank you.
I'm sorry.
There you go.
I think right next to you.
Thanks.
I love your.
Hi there. My name is Nick. Live in New York. And this question is for the both of you. I'm a new listener to the podcast, so forgive me if this is already trodden ground. But have either of you ever done playthroughs of the games? It's so close to your lives that I'm like, would you?
So
would you
close,
relax with work like that?
Well, we don't have a lot of time to relax, but we have thought about we have thought about getting like a Nintendo Switch and streaming because we're really bad at video games.
Because we don't play any video games.
Maybe for somebody to watch. But I did play Fire Red on my Nintendo DS. But I gave up at some point because there was every time I tell this part of the story, people's eyes start to glaze over. So, but the thing is, there was some part where like I had to get to a gym, or I was in the house, and I was walking around, and then I couldn't figure. I just got to a point where I didn't know what to do, and I was walking through the grass, and all these Pokemon are popping up, and I was like, I don't want to deal with you right now, and I just got frustrated, and I went back to Nintendogs,
Yeah.
So.
I had the experience where my little brother got red when he was 10, and he would say, "Oh, do you want to play it?" And then I'd reach for it. He goes, "Let me just show you how to do it." And then Rena, we both had a DS, and the same thing happened when she was little. Want to? Oh, let me show you how to do it. So I've never actually pressed any of the buttons.
Yeah.
And why I didn't just do it on my own, I just don't know. But
We just had one.
That's it. At that point, we did have one. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so would we play? Yes. Have we played? No.
We've played some Pokemon Go.
Yes, that's
So
about
that
it.
we've done. But also, we're very bad at that too. So
I know I'm level 8, and it's embarrassing. People always say, "Can we trade? Do you want to be my friend?" And I can't have friends because I'm only level 8.
yeah,
It's so sad.
I think I'm a little higher.
You
so
are.
I can be people's friend, but
Yeah.
it's very exclusive.
Thank you.
Good question.
Does anyone else have any other questions or anything to share? Yes,
Want to go?
since you've grown up with 4 kids.
Hi, my name is Samson. I don't know
Yes.
if we've met before. Like you mentioned, I grew up at 4 kids, more or less. That was like my adolescence, my childhood. My dad got a job there when I was younger. So that's actually probably one of my most fond memories is him being like, "Oh, I got this job at 4 kids." And I was like, "What's that?" And he's like, "The company that does Pokemon." And I was like, I was like probably 9 or 10 years old when it happened. So it was really a great, surreal experience being able to see the voices behind all the characters. So I have a lot of really good memories. I'm trying to think of a couple of them. I just always, and I'm being very genuine and honest when I say this, I just always have very fond memories of seeing you anytime I was at the office, and you always took time to talk to me, and you're just such a genuine person. You have like mom energy. Like I think we can.
Can I just put in that you've always been so amazing because when you came to 4 Kids, you were always working on a project or filming something, and it's not that we had a lot of extra time, but there was always time to kind of squeeze in conversation, or I could find out what you were doing, and that's kind of being in it, when the time at 4 Kids that we're talking about, there were all different studios where different cartoons were being recorded, and also the storyboard artists for Turtles were in the back room. So there was a lot going on, and so it was a really creative space, even though your dad was on the administerial side, the not so creative, but creative because he was doing the promos and everything.
Yeah, and most of those projects were given to me by Michael Hegney because he was like, "Why is there a kid running around here? He should be in school." So,
Wow.
Yeah. But to one of the questions, just to give some clarity about, there are certain episodes that never aired due to standards and practices. So a little more on that. If there were certain episodes where there were only like little things, like, an episode like a gun with Officer Jenny, that could be edited out very easily.
Right.
But if there was something like a gun multiple times across the episode where editing it out or editing an entire scene out would make the entire episode not make sense, that was part of the reason why they just wouldn't air an episode.
Right.
And then there's also the infamous Porygon episode, which unfortunately led to a lot of people in Japan having seizures. So that's like a whole episode that just got locked away in a vault, which never saw the light of day, unfortunately, because Porygon was my favorite. Yeah, I was like, I remember as a kid trying to like ask the writers, I was like, "Can't you guys just like edit it?" And they're like, "We can, but it's like literally locked in a vault. Like there's a VHS tape somewhere that we have no access to." And I'm trying to think, there's one more memory. The one thing I will take credit for is Togetic's name being pronounced correctly in the anime.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I was sitting in the recording studio when the episode was being recorded, and I forget whose character it was, but they said Togetic. and I was sitting next to Darren Dunstan, and I was just like, kind of like, okay, I'm just like 12 at the time. I'm not going to interject. And they kept saying it, and I was like, Darren, it's not that. Like, and he's like, what is it? I was like, it's Togetic. And he was like, oh. So I went home, and like 2 days later, I get a call from Kathy Bordlin, who's like the writer, like the head writer producer, and she was like, hey, so I heard that you pronounced the name differently. And I was like, oh yeah, Togetic. She's like, yeah, so that's a better way. We're going to go back and re-record it. So they went back and recorded the episode. Wow. So that was like, and I was like in middle school at the time. So that was like a cute little memory.
How did you know?
So I don't know, I just kind of like threw it out there. But I do remember one of the things that a lot of the directors and the voice cast would do is they had like, this was like early 2000s, late 90s, those Pokemon guidebooks.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And it would have the phonetic pronunciations of the names. And so they just kind of went off of that.
Yeah.
And then it was just kind of like, you kind of said it however you thought it was supposed to be said. And I just remember seeing that. I was like, I don't think that's right.
It makes better sense because Togetic.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Wait, thank God you were there.
Yeah.
I know, really saved the day. Yeah.
Yeah, but it is. And it's amazing that, I mean, I've known you forever, it seems. Not when you were born, like I've known you.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
It's been pretty, a really long time.
Yeah,
So-
I remember Rena coming with you to the office and sitting in the recording
of
booth.
us.
Yeah.
Kids
Chilling.
and dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And dogs. Yeah, there were a lot of dogs
Lot
at
of
that
dogs.
office. Yeah.
Dogs. My favorite, I was going to see if your favorite memory was Bagel Friday. That was my favorite.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
4 kids would always have Bagel Friday where there would be bagels on
And
Fridays.
enormous
And it
amounts
was
of cream
so
cheese.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
it was
enormous
just,
amounts.
It was just so fun being able to walk into a kitchen where there's just bagels everywhere and you could have whatever you wanted. I don't know. I had a good childhood, but it was like, it was like I've been deprived of something.
I think there was pizza on Wednesdays, some Wednesdays.
Because that was for the Turtles. Because I think the Turtles were
that's
recording
true.
then.
Yeah, we
so
got
that was their
some.
whole
No
thing.
way.
Yeah.
In the beginning
that's
of
cool.
Turtles, we rehearsed the whole show, and then we recorded all together. And then after a while, it was just you went in by yourselves. Not so much pizza then. Thank you.
Thank you for that. That's so interesting.
Anyone else?
No, that's okay.
All right. Thank you, guys. This is amazing.
This has been so awesome.
I know. Thank you so much for coming. Everyone who's joining us on the live stream, thank you for that.
Yeah.
We still have a couple episodes in this season. There's 52 episodes in each season. We have a couple more to record
We're
for
at
the
49,
podcast.
so
but
you
it's
do
been
the
an
math.
amazing experience to do 49 episodes so far and to hear from people and be able to experience these wonderful memories. People have sent in recordings. We've read them. It's been extraordinary
It's
to
definitely
share
my
this.
favorite part, I think.
I think so too.
Other than Team Rocket.
Yes.
But this is like, I just love hearing everybody's experiences because it's so unique and also so universal. And so
Right.
it's just a really cool thing to, I don't know. And it's just so generous of everybody to actually, for you all to be here and spending your time with us and to send us emails and all that kind of stuff.
great.
It's really, really amazing.
And
so,
I would also say
thank
with
you.
the passing of Rachel Lillis, it's been really nice to be able to be together, to mourn together in our separate enclaves, but to have a space where we can talk about her and celebrate her. Maddie Blaustein passed away a while ago before we had social media. So we have a space to celebrate her as well. And so we'll continue doing this, but it's been really great, but we couldn't be here without all of you. So, and also for my parents, I couldn't be here without you. So, specifically. Anyway.
Okay, we're going to do our little thing
We'll get
now.
to the end now.
Yeah.
We hope you'll
No, the other part.
Oh,
that about wraps
gee
up.
whiz. Oh,
That part.
wait, not that part. Hold on a second. I've got to go back to my notes. Oh,
Because normally we do we play the thing and we say thank you so much.
Here it is. Thank you for sharing your stories with us today, and we want to hear from all of you.
Email us a short recording or write to us at trainersguidepod@gmail.com.
And try to keep it short, maybe 30 seconds or so we don't have to edit.
Oh, and please include your first name and where you're from.
Well, that about wraps up today's episode of
The Trainer's Guide.
And...
Hold
Hold on. Don't play that yet. Hold on a second. Play it at the very. We have to do our credits first.
We'll do a hand. We'll
Okay,
go
wait,
like
hold on.
this. This is so fun.
Thank you, though. Well, that about wraps up today's episode of
The Trainer's Guide.
And, as they say, to be continued. We hope you'll continue to join us on this journey that is The Trainer's Guide.
As you know, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Or wherever you're listening now.
Wink. And if you subscribe, comment, and rate the podcast, it helps others find the show and keeps us on air.
Thanks in advance for your generosity and amazing support.
Trainer's Guide is a production of Boom Integrated. We're executive producing this with the amazing Adrian Glover.
And the incomparable Robin Lai. I'm your host, Veronica Taylor.
And I'm your host, Rena Taylor.
And this has been
The Trainer's Guide.
We'll see you out there on the road.
Thank you.
You guys,
Wow.
we did it. Thank you.
That's amazing.
Thank you guys.